morning sun shines on the gleaming hide of a muscular ranch horse. The aroma of bacon and coffee drifts from the wood cook stove at a cow camp. Silver spurs jingle as the men and women of the West get set for another day in the saddle. From the heart of Canada's finest ranching country, this is the Spirit of the West with rancher and horse trainer Hugh McLennan and his collection of music, poetry, and conversations with the folks who live and work with horses and cattle in the Spirit of the West.
Well, the hay supply and the firewood pile are going down fast, and it's been kind of chilly out, but when the sun shines, it's still pretty. This week, we'll bring you some interesting adventures from some well-known horsemen and cowboys. You'll hear about a colt I started a few years ago and what kind of life he had. And Jonathan Field relates an interesting episode about a horse that would always fire backwards really fast when they opened the trailer door.
He started this horse, and as soon as he started the horse to back out, he seen this old guy coming with a walker, and he was coming slowly with this walker, and this horse started going backwards fast out of the horse trailer.
Now wait till you hear what happened next. And Baxter Black remembers some of the things he had to deal with when he was a feedlot vet.
Well, Mr. Torlumpke, you lost 36 head last week. My gosh, what'd they die of? Well, they just quit breathing.
On the Rangeland News, we'll look ahead at the coming year's cattle markets.
But with these large placements into feedlots,
that will probably put some downward pressure on the futures prices.
And on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear horse training file, a listener has a 2-year-old gelding that's become really aggressive and he's afraid to even get near him. What should he do? The great Eddie Dean has our classic Song of the West, and we'll get started with Tom Hyatt.
A snowflake is falling, the wild goose is calling, the air's getting frosty and cold. My old aching bone says that old Arizona is a place for a cowboy this old. For 65 years I've looked past horses' ears at great cowboy and country I've known. Rode 38 outfits in 9 western range states, not once on a place of my own. It's time to make changes, new horses, new ranges, new bosses, new cooks, and new cows. To tie hard or dally, in mountain or valley, it's freedom this lifestyle allows. No matter the changes, they're all cattle ranges, small ranches, and big outfits too. A fact that I can't shirk, all of it's cow work, it's all that I know how to do. Learn new ways to work 'em, to rope 'em and jerk 'em. It's all at the boss's desire. Some to heel and drag 'em, some to ropes and shag 'em. Each calf still ends up at the fire. Quick throws with short ropes, long throws with high hopes, brush poppers or bold buckaroos. They knew when I hired on that someday I'd ride on. I earned it, I paid all my dues. It's time to make changes, new horses, new ranges, new bosses, new cooks, and new cows. To tie hard or dally, in mountain or valley, it's freedom this lifestyle allows. No matter the changes, they're all cattle ranges, small ranches, and big outfits too. A fact that I can't shirk, all of it's cow work, it's all that I know how to do. Cinch double or single, my spurs always jingle in sagebrush, in cedar or pine. It's leggings in Texas or chinks on ZXs. This life and this work are just fine. Rode green ropes or made ones on long trots or wild runs, wide circles out under the sky. And someday, who knows where, out yonder, out somewhere I'll ride till I fall off and die. It's time to make changes, new horses, new ranges, new bosses, new cooks, and new cows. To tie hard or dally, in mountain or valley, it's freedom this lifestyle allows. No matter the changes, they're all cattle ranges, small ranches, and big outfits too. The fact that I can't shirk all of its cow work, it's all that I know how to do. The fact that I can't shirk all of its cow work, it's all that I know how to do.
Tom Hyatt, and boy, he was a big hit at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival a few years back. And at another Kamloops Cowboy Festival, there was a collection of top hands, legends from the working cowboy world gathered around swapping stories. It was priceless. Don Lowen, Miles Kingdon, Mark Grafton, Pat Ferguson, Wendell Stolstus, and a guy who rode for the Douglas Lake Cattle Company for many, many years, Red Heisler. Now, I'd started a real nice 3-year-old bay gelding quite a few years ago, and I heard that Red wound up riding him, and I was curious to find out how the horse turned out. He was born on St. Patrick's Day, and his name was Paddy. How's that Paddy horse? Is he still on his feet? That bay...
Paddy horse, what happened to Paddy horse? Yeah. Gosh, he was a good horse.
Yeah.
I rode him quite a bit at the ranch there. I had him for one whole summer up at John Anderson's at this up there at Cane Valley.
Yeah.
And I had him up there, and I rode with him. I had a couple of my own, and I had there. Oh, that Paddy was just.
I started him as I was going to start him as a 2-year-old, and he had a little touch of navicular, so we laid him off for a year, and I started him for Tim Redford, the guy that owned him at that time, as a 3-year-old. And Tim only wanted 30 days on him, so I really enjoyed the first 30 days. That's all he was really in a position to pay for, but he wanted to leave him at our place, and he kind of knew what he was doing. And I just couldn't stand seeing Paddy not being ridden, and I saw he had all his potential, so I wound up riding him that whole summer and that fall and that next spring. Before he
honest as hell, eh?
Oh, wasn't he? Yeah. Oh. Remember the first time we had the Dr. Cows on him, and the guy that was with us is a guy that went into the Cowboy Hall of Fame posthumously last night, old Sammy Posabon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we had him in a big page wire corral up at a place we call Frog Bog, and there were several cows that had to have shots before we put them out on the range. And I think I roped the calf the first time and got him by both heels, and I had to let my rope go because Paddy had no idea what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
But the rope was still on, and I got it again, dallied up, and he figured it out, and he held him, and they doctored the calf, and next we had to rope a couple of cows. And about the third big one, Sammy headed it, and I heeled it, and I backed him up, and he's holding, but that cinch was pushing, and finally he just kind of sunk to his knees and was going down. That was enough. But yeah, he was one of the good ones, and we'll talk more about Paddy. And I've also going to be visiting with former Western Horseman publisher Darrel Dodds when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Yeah, Paddy was a real nice 2-year-old bay quarter horse with some good bloodlines, and I started him actually as a 3-year-old, and often when you start colts for the public, they go back to their owners, and sometimes the way they turn out is a disappointment for the trainer, but others go on to have a great life, and that's how it was with Paddy. And it was sure nice to catch up with Red Heisler and find out more about him.
I didn't rope off him too much because I was up there alone, and there was cows and calves, and there wasn't too much wrong with any of them type thing. But I was moving with Paddy, and I was amazed at how Paddy sort of picked up pretty much what you were doing as you were going along. You had it going along, and it sort of is wandering off that side, so you rein him over there, and then you wander, get up the road a little ways, and pretty soon you didn't have to rein him. He says, "Okay, I know what I'm doing here." I said, "Well, fine, you do it then. That's great."
Yeah. Ah, dear old Paddy. I never should have let him go. And boy, sometime I hope I can corral Red Heisler for a bunch more stories of his lifelong cowboy career. We're going to switch gears now, and here's an interesting comment or two I got from former publisher of Western Horseman and great photographer of all things Western, Darrel Dodds. The life of a photographer, photographing working ranch situations, horses, cattle, and everything. There's got to be a few scary moments maybe that you've had from time to time. I mean, have you been on a horse with a full load of calves? Thanks, Martin. Great.
camera equipment?
I'll tell you, the scariest part I get is when I'm getting on the plane and realize I left my camera bag in the restaurant.
No.
Other than that, there's not a whole lot of scary moments, actually. You just want to do a good job, and working with these guys, they're the best. They're patient. They understand the benefit of publicity. They'll do pretty much anything that you ask as long as it's not too stupid. But getting great images to promote Western activities and Western horses is just a dream job. Anybody who gets to do this is lucky. And hopefully, or most of the time, people kind of appreciate a good image of a good horse and a good cowboy. So it's a good deal. I love it and can't imagine doing anything else.
Coming up, Jonathan Field and a kind of an unorthodox way of curing a horse from firing backwards out of the trailer when you open the back door. But right now, here's another great story. From winning the Rising Star competition at the Kamloops Cowboy Festival to country music superstar, Brett Kessel has always honored his ranching roots.
I'm fifth generation on the same piece of land. My grandfather's grandfather paid just $10 to a government man for this little piece of heaven that I will always call home, and that won't ever change. It runs right through my veins, straight to my soul. Well, you can put me in the city and I'll do just fine, but give me my saddle and a good horse to ride. 'Cause at the end of the day, when the work's all done, I wanna hang my hat knowing where I come from. I've got country in my blood. I got this country in my blood. 100 years have come and gone, and there's been many that were tough, but through hard work and tears, we made it through those years, never giving up. And I've seen a lot of places from up on the stage, but nothing compares to what I got right here in this wide open space. Yeah, you can put me in the city and I'll do just fine, but give me my cattle and a tractor to drive. 'Cause at the end of the day, when the work's all done, I wanna hang my hat knowing where I come from. I've got country in my blood. I got this country in my blood. Yeah, you can put me in the city and I'll do just fine, but give me my saddle and a good horse to ride. 'Cause at the end of the day, when the work's all done, I wanna hang my hat knowing where I come from. I've got country in my blood. I've got this country in my blood. I've got country in my blood. I got this country in my blood.
Well, during our temporary stay here in the big city of Vancouver, a visit from my good friend, the world-class trainer Jonathan Field, and Angie along with Weston and Mason was a real treat. and Jonathan remembered an interesting episode that Pat Pirelli had described to him.
Yeah, Pat told a story years ago. We were talking about horses, and this one particular friend of his that had a horse, and this guy came and watched a clinic, and Pat was talking about lateral thinking and how you might try to, with horses, always to go things about, another way around. Maybe the very first thought out of your head might not be the very right thing to do immediately, based on this predator-prey thing, So he said, about a week later, that guy was at this rodeo event, and he was unloading his horse, and his horse was kind of known to kind of bolt out of a horse trailer quickly, and he always made a point to look out behind the horse trailer, and he was in the horse trailer with the horse. And he looked out back, and there was no one there. And by the time he got his horse untied and moved the divider over, he started this horse. And as soon as he started the horse to back out, he seen this old guy coming with a walker. And he was coming slowly with this walker, and this horse started going backwards fast out of the horse trailer. And, of course, he tried to stop the horse, and then the horse only went faster and roared out of the back of the horse trailer and hit this poor old guy in the walker. And this guy that had the horse, he felt just horrible. He just felt terrible. He was... he couldn't believe that he got the old boy up, and they got him kind of looked after, and he was okay. But he, his first thought, his first reaction, he says, I think I want to kill my horse. And that's what he wanted to do. He goes, okay, what's the opposite of kill him? He goes, okay, not kill him. I'll try something else. So he thought, I'm going to think laterally on this. What would I do to get this horse's idea not be to run out of the horse trailer? So he was in near San Francisco there, and in the Bay Area. He was driving back home, and he's seen this long pier. So he thought, you know what? I'm going to see if I can get this horse to think about this running out of the horse trailer. So he backed his horse trailer all the way down to the edge of the pier, out to the edge of that dock. And he opened the back door of the horse trailer, and he said that horse whipped out and went way down, went 20 feet into the ocean there, and swam back around, and he put him back in the horse trailer, took him up to solid ground, and started to back him out of the horse trailer, and he said that horse just went tippy-toeing back and fell for the ground.
Every step.
I don't think it was actually a training technique that he was advising, but he said he sure thought laterally about that.
Yeah, that could just make a Ben Crane cartoon of the guy coming by on the walker and the horse just...
You hear that, Benny? There's an idea for one of your cartoons. Well, next, Baxter Black recalls his days as a feedlot veterinarian, got another real good song of the West, and then the Rangeland News when the Spirit of the West continues right after this.
Howdy, friends. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan, with a little peek at causes of death in the feedlot. Ladies and gentlemen and followers of cowboy humor, in a moment of weakness, I, Baxter Black, have written another book. I appreciate it. Its title is Scrambled Wisdom. Almost isn't is it? Which almost makes sense. Well, our almost Christmas buy two get one free offer does make sense. $39.90 plus shipping. Call 800-654-2550. Online at baxterblack.com. In my career as a feedlot veterinarian, determination of cause of death was an integral part of the Dr. Crew's chores. I devised an extensive list with coded causes. It included everything from acute pneumonia to malignant catarrhal fever. But to allow that no death went uncoded, the list included unknown and other. Well, to the credit of the first-rate feedlot doctors I worked with, these last two categories were small in number. Unknown was an essential classification, because sometimes you just don't know. And other times you know the cause of death, but it happens so seldom it doesn't justify a specific code of its own. Say, for instance, during the night a steer escapes the pen and makes his way to the ensiled corn pit, eats himself under a ledge, and it falls on him and he suffocates. Well, you might have a general category, ran out of breath, but you don't. Granted, that would be broad enough to include other examples, like the steer that got loose in the chronic pasture and was chased by number 2 heelers till he collapsed and died for exhaustion, but ran out of breath is awful close to quit breathing as a cause of death, and not usually specific enough explanation for the cattle-feeding customer, i.e., well, Mr. Torlumpke, you lost 36 head last week. My gosh, what'd they die of? Well, they just quit breathing. Shot was never a coded cause, although there were occasions when it was penciled in. I remember a big on-the-fight Bramer steer escaping into a neighborhood suburb. We followed him with a dead wagon. He died on the front lawn. There were also those who died of HBCV, hit by company vehicle. But to have that happen so often that it deserved its own code would not build customer confidence in your day-to-day operation. We didn't have a code for scared to death, but I remember 2 cases that happened as a direct result of the consulting nutritionist trying to read the bunks from his Cessna 180. I simply turned them in as nutritionally related. More come to mind that fit in the other category: suicide, lack of sleep, Copenhagen allergy, impersonation of a game animal, and old age. All unusual but possible occurrences, which just goes to show we need to leave a line in our own biography for the unexpected. This is Baxter Black on Spirit of the West with Hugh McLennan. Thanks for listening.
How about a weekend pass to the 22nd Annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 15th to 18th, 2018. A terrific list of entertainers, including Gary Prescott.
I once rode with the best of the cowboys back in the days of my youth.
Brian Salmon.
So who would pack the lantern? There are some buckaroos that would pack it tall and proud, just like we need to do.
Tom Cole.
Out on the plains, an old cowboy sings a song to his herd.
The BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, evening concerts, a wonderful art and gear show, the Art of the West show and sale, workshops, and everything from guitar picking to saddle making. The best place to get all the details is bcchs.com, and for tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. You know, Gene Autry sang this song in 2 different movies, in 1940 in one called Melody Ranch, and in 1942 in a movie with the same title as the song, The Call of the Canyon. And that movie also saw Gene introduce another Western classic, Give Me My Boots and Saddle. Anyway, here's the fine harmony group Journey West.
Just a melancholy echo, lingering when the day is through. It's the call of the canyon. Once again I'm dreaming of you. Every night I search the moonlight up and down the river shore. It's the call of the canyon. Maybe I will find you once more, standing there alone by the ashes of a fire we said would never die. Will I ever find an ember burning from the days gone by? Then I hear a lonely whisper and a little spark I see. It's the call of the canyon, bringing back your answer to me. Standing there alone by the ashes of a fire we said would never die. Will I ever find an ember burning from the days gone by? Then I hear a lonely whisper and a little spark I see. It's the call of the canyon, bringing back your answer to me. It's the call of the canyon, bringing back your answer to me.
Now the news of the rangeland, a roundup of news and coming events from around the West.
At the top of page 1, looking at what the cattle markets might bring our way in 2018, well, feedlot placements may have some impact, and with that story, here comes Gary Crawford.
Friday's USDA Cattle on Feed report showing feedlots had placements during November, 2.1 million head, a big increase, 14% from November a year ago.
It was actually larger than many in the trade were expecting.
Agriculture Department Livestock Analyst Sheo Shagam, the report showing November marketings, 1.84 million head, the highest November number since at least 1996, leaves the total cattle and calf inventory, 11.5 million head, 8% more than this time a year ago. All of this implies, first,
there are a lot of animals out there to be placed. Some of these may be heifers. If we look at heifer slaughter, it has been running above a year earlier, since around the middle of the year.
The implication of that concerning cow-calf operators and herd size?
They're moving more towards a steady state in terms of not really expanding dramatically but not contracting.
Steer prices are on average running 120 a hundredweight versus 115 a year ago, but with these large placements into feedlots,
that will probably put some downward pressure on the futures prices.
Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.
Well, a lot of us give newborn calves a shot of vitamin A, D, and E when we tag them, but that might not be so easy this spring. A global shortage of vitamins A and E for livestock use is forcing feed manufacturers to revise some formulations. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency said that the shortage was caused by a fire at the BASF plant in Germany. Supplies are expected to remain below optimum levels well into the first quarter of 2018. And as a result, feed manufacturers are revising their feed formulations with reduced levels of these vitamins in order to continue to provide feed to livestock, and the temporary formulation of feeds to reduce levels of vitamins A and E is not expected to cause any undue safety or welfare risks to livestock, according to the CFIA. A petition is gaining ground in Colorado. It's aimed at getting the National Western Stock Show to pull a popular event from its lineup, mutton bustin'. The mutton bustin' competition, as you probably know, features kids between the ages of 5 and 7 trying to hang on the back of a running sheep for as long as they can. Those who want to get rid of the popular event believe the activity is cruel and barbaric. An online petition started by a woman who lives in the United Kingdom has so far gathered over 82,000 signatures. The entire Western Stock Show is a very violent event, says Aidan Cook, an activist with Direct Action Everywhere, an animal rights group. 1,200 Coloradans have signed the petition in an effort to stop Denver's mutton bustin'. Well, Charlie Christie of Trochu is the new chair of Alberta Beef Producers. Charlie has previously served for many years on the board, including the financial chair. Kelly Fraser of Red Deer County is the new vice chair, while Melanie Woke of Beauvalin is the new finance chair, and Bob Lowe of Nanton has a one-year term as past chair, and other members of the 2018 board are Garth Porteous of Bow Island, Sheila Hilmer of Del Bonita, Chris Israelson of Didsbury, Jesse Williams of Hanna, Tim Secura of Rocky Rapids, Colin Campbell of Bonaccord, John MacArthur of Fairview, Brad Ozajic of Jenner, Fred Lozman of Claresholm, Kathy Sharp from Lacombe, S.R. Grindy of Bluffton, Ken Stanley of Westlock, and Tim Smith of Coronation. Boy, that sounds like a pretty dynamic group. At the BC Livestock Co-op Kamloops Yards, there's a special feeder sale January 23rd and another bred cow and heifer sale on January 30th. Next sale at Williams Lake is February the 8th. You can get all the information, and you can watch the sales live at bclivestock.bc.ca. Meanwhile, over at the Innisfail Auction Market, 2 horse sales a month, regular cattle sales every Wednesday, and lots of bred cow and heifer sales coming up too. You can see InnisfailAuctionMarket.com or give them a call at 1-800-710-3166. And that brings us down to the final item, and we hear a lot of people complaining about the cold, and my goodness, across the prairies and places like North Dakota and Minnesota, it has been pretty frigid. And down here in Vancouver, people are complaining too, but it's not that bad. Anyway, some folks are saying about the cold out in the prairies, you light a candle and the flame freezes. Or you're riding along and your shadow freezes to the ground. You have to break the smoke off your chimney. You have to open the fridge to heat the house. Your false teeth chatter, and they're still in the glass. It's been so cold out here in Vancouver that at -3, with maybe an inch of snow, folks are terrified to go outside and they refuse to drive. While out in Alberta, near Drayton Valley at -20, Rod and Terry, our son and daughter-in-law, were roasting smokies outside on an open fire. And in Saskatchewan at -35, Ryan, Fritz, and the family are actually wearing long johns for their outdoor concert. And that's the Rangeland News. Coming up on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File, a listener has a young gelding that's become very aggressive. Pins his ears, he strikes and bites and kicks. And we'll see what this guy can do about it when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. Yeah, he could be a dangerous horse to handle if you're a novice, but dealing with an aggressive horse isn't usually a big problem for an experienced horseman. We'll get to that one on the Urban Saddles and Western Wear Horse Training File right after Corb Lund.
Everything is better with some cows around. Living in town sometimes brings me down. Let me bestow this western blessing and share what I have found. May you always have cows around. What else you gonna spend that extra money on? What else is gonna get you up hours before dawn? What else is gonna keep you toiling on and on and on? May you always have cows around. Come on, you know that you got too much time on your hands. Not merely enough complication in your plans. You need to invite all of the frustration that you can. May you always have cows around. Everything is better with some cows around. Living in town sometimes brings me down. Let me bestow this western blessing and leave you saddle bound. You always have cows around. What else could make the bishop swear like a sailor might? What else can cause such tension between a man and his wife? What else could ever bring all these enhancements to your life? May you always have cows around. What else is gonna get out when you don't close the gate? What else will make you prematurely show your age? What else will take a run at you in a fit of bovine rage? May you always have cows around. Well, everything is better with some cows around. Living in town sometimes brings me down. And although this western blessing leaves you cattle bound, may you always have cows around. Well, there's Hereford, Highland, Simmons, Hall, West Black, and Maine, and Juki, and Nina, Limousine, Shorthorn, Charlie, Wachusett, too. Texas, Longhorn, Corey, any Roman, Yola, Galloway, and Angus, Brahma, Brangus, Jersey, Guernsey, Holstein, hey! Well, you might have had to let them dig for oil and gas. You might have had to turn the place to an exotic game ranch. You might have had to do all kinds of things to raise the cash so you'd always have cows around. Well, how else you gonna lose it all like Daddy did? What else will make sure you leave nothing for your kids? It's too late now, you know it is. You might as well admit that you're the badly flawed and sentimental masochisticness And that despite all the statistics and the advice that you get, you will always have cows around. Yeah, everything is better with cows around. Living in town sometimes brings me down, where you won't know what you're missing till you hear that sound. May you always have cows around. May you always have cows around.
Now it's time for the Horse Training File, brought to you by Irvine Tack and Western Wear, Canada's largest Western store.
Experience the true spirit of the West at Canada's largest Western store, Irvine Tack and Western Wear. If you need a curb strap or a 4-star gooseneck trailer, you'll find it here. A saddle for every rider. Cutters, reiners, penners, trainers, work and ranch cowboys, ropers. They have over 1,200 in stock. And they have Western wear for the entire family. And how about a gift card? Shop online at irvinesaddles.ca. Free shipping on orders of over $100. irvinesaddle.ca, 1-877-946-9494. I have a nice 2-year-old Palomino that I can't even get near. He tries to charge me, bite and kick, and he pins his ears back. When I take a whip into the pen to move him away from me, to ensure I'm safe, he charges me and tries to kick and bite me. And you called him a nice horse? I'm not sure how to even work with him. I need some answers on how to work with a horse that's aggressive and won't let you touch him. Okay, well, horses like this can be dangerous for a lot of folks, but usually not a real problem for an experienced horseman. Most of the time, the horse is responding with what he considers appropriate behavior for what the human is doing. And unless you've had a lot of experience with this kind of horse, you'd be best to leave it to an expert. Now, I've dealt with quite a few aggressive horses, and I can usually tell fairly early in the process what I need to do. With some of them, it's just a matter of presenting the body language the horse understands, and sometimes it means being pretty assertive, using a lariat coiled up or a horseman's stick and string, or sometimes a halter and shank, and making sure it's positioned above the horse's withers. You see, when two horses who are trying to dominate each other face off, the one that can get the most height is often going to be the dominant one. Now, if I can see that there is more aggression than I can handle on foot, what I'll do is I'll ride into that pen on a good solid saddle horse. And if you and your horse know what you're doing, it usually doesn't take too long to start controlling the aggressive colt's movement, his direction, and his speed. And after a few sessions of working from horseback, having the colt circle both directions, do inside and outside turns, and eventually stand still while I rub him all over from the back of my saddle horse, I'll pony him out on the trail for up to an hour or more and then come back and try working with him from the ground. And if I've done it right, it usually works pretty well. And that's the Horse Training File. Something else that works pretty well is that daily feeding of Hoffman's horse ration that our horses get. You can find out more at hoffmanshorseration.com. How about a weekend pass to the 22nd annual Kamloops Cowboy Festival, March 15th to 18th, 2018. A terrific list of entertainers, including Gary Prescott.
I once rode with the best of the cowboys back in the days of my youth.
Brian Salmon.
So who would pack the lantern? There are some buckaroos that would pack it tall and proud just like we need to do.
Tom Cole.
Out on the plains, an old cowboy sings a song to his herd.
The BC Cowboy Hall of Fame inductions, dinner shows, evening concerts, a wonderful art and gear show, the Art of the West show and sale, workshops, and everything from guitar picking to saddle making. The best place to get all the details is bcchs.com, and for tickets, call 1-888-763-2221. About a year ago, down at Jonathan Field's James Creek Ranch, Jonathan was riding his top horse, Hal. He was riding him bridleless and bareback and doing some spectacular maneuvers, and the bond between this great horseman and this great horse was something to see. And we talked about it right there at the ranch.
When you asked Hal to lay down, and here again, nothing on his head, and he just very willingly bowed, dropped to his knees,
eased right down onto his stomach and then laid over on his side and let a big sigh out and say, this feels good. He went to sleep, flat out on the ground. And the reason that he did that, and this came up when somebody said, now, what would happen if you just walked away and went for lunch, and you said you'd never do that?
No. I started laying Hal down, and it was a long process to do. It wasn't one where I've kind of dropped him down quickly. I laid him down over the course of a couple of months, in the training, because he was such a skeptical horse, and he was so, thinking the human was out kind of against him. And in the process of teaching him to do that, we came together as kind of partners much closer than I've ever had with any other horse, in that he just slowly and incrementally turned loose of that flight to do really the ultimate thing and to lay down. And when he did that, and he used to lay down, he would keep very aware, very alert, very awake. Okay, I'm laying down, but I'm laying down because you asked me to lay down, not because I really trust you. And yesterday, and over the course of the years, now he'll lay down, and he literally went, as you said, to sleep. The reason I wouldn't walk away is because he's trusting that I'm looking out for him. I will see him and his best buddy, my gray horse Quincy, out in the pasture all the time, and Hal's laying down, Quincy's standing above him, or Quincy's laying down and Hal's standing above him. So they're looking out for each other. And for me to lay Hal down and then just go and leave when he's having a nice snooze, he would go, "Where the hell were you, partner?"
Yeah, like I trusted you. I went sound asleep knowing you were standing guard.
That's right.
Yeah. One of the premier composers of contemporary Western songs, I think most folks would agree, is R.W. Hampton. And a lot of the songs written by this former working cowboy are destined to be future Western classics, like this one.
The painted walls of Paladura, how my heart can see them yet, as a boy of 18 summers, long before I knew regret. There I rode the bold unwilling, and my loop was keen and true. And even in the dead of winter, the sky seemed always blue. Where, oh, where is Bud Delaney? He could ride and ride 'em tall. Haven't seen him since he quit here 10 years ago last fall. I hear him moved out east of Kingman, and he's taken different ways, but a better hand at punching cows there wasn't in his day. And it's been saddle horse and catch twine that has been my life. Some say it's been my downfall, for the world has passed me by. The life I live I freely chose, I'm at it yet tonight. I was born to be a cowboy, and I will be till I die. We were camped on Rita Blanca, me and Bud and Steve and Paul, in old man Fulton's wagon, way up in the fall. Colder than the dickens when the work was done, we'd catch a fresh horse and lope to town, just looking for some fun. In the heat of summer branding, we'd get an early start, jingling the horses, saddle in the dark. Ride out on the morning without a spoken word, the ring of spur, the fall of hoof, was all that could be heard. And it's been saddle, horse, and catch twine, that has been my life. Some say it's been my downfall, for the world has passed me by. The life I live I freely chose, I'm at it yet tonight. I was born to be a cowboy, and I will be till I die. I first laid eyes on Darcy Taylor at the Channing Christmas ball, the daughter of a circuit preacher, the fairest of them all. I knew I could never have her, but I loved her just the same. And I still get that old-time feeling when I hear her name. Photographs and trophy buckles, the things you hold with pride, as eyes grow dim, won't mean as much as what you got inside. But I've got lots of memories, to me worth more than gold. And I can say I'm ready, Lord, anytime it's time to go. And it's been saddle, horse, and catch twine, that has been my life. Some say it's been my downfall, for the world has passed me by. The life I live I freely chose, I'm at it yet tonight. I was born to be a cowboy, and I will be till I die. I was born to be a cowboy, and I will be till I die.
That was one I just had to learn after I heard it, and loved doing it on stage with my Western Spirit Band. And we have a few shows coming up that we'll be telling you about in the coming weeks, too. Next, it's our classic Song of the West and the Cowboy Poetry Spotlight, when the Spirit of the West continues right after this. Welcome back to the Spirit of the West. I found a hidden treasure for this week's classic Western song, and Gene Autry and Roy Rogers both said this guy was the best Western singer of all. He appeared in a pile of black and white Westerns and one or two in color, but I don't think he ever got the recognition he really deserved. This is a neat combination of the old classic A Cowboy's Dream and Badger Clark's Cowboy's Prayer from Eddie Dean.
He lived close to nature. Wind, rain, dust. These were the things he had to live with. A cowboy had to be a hardy man to be able to play the part he did in settling the West. Last night as I lay on the prairie and looked at the stars in the sky, I wondered if ever a cowboy would drift to that sweet by and by. Roll on, roll on, roll on. never lived where churches grow. I've loved creation better as it stood that day you finished it so long ago, and looked upon your work and called it good. Just let me live a life as I've begun, and give me work that's open to the sky. Make me a partner of the wind and the sun, and I won't ask the life that's soft and high. Make me as big and open as the plains, and honest as a horse between my knees. Clean as the wind that blows behind the reins, and free as the hawk that circles down the breeze. Just keep an eye on all that's done and said, and just write me sometime when I turn aside, and guide me on the long dim trail ahead that stretches up toward the great divide. Roll on, roll on, roll on, little doggies, roll on.
Well, thank you so much for making the ride, and I sure hope you can join us right here next week at the same time. And thanks again to our great support crew, Mark and Kathy McMillan. And if you're looking for tractor parts, any make, any year, see Mark's page at bctractorparts.com. And be sure to check out the latest Canadian Cowboy Country Magazine at cowboycountrymagazine.com. And for all the information on our fantastic Spirit of the West cruise coming up next September, you can call 1-800-530-0131. Till next week, I'm Hugh McLennan. Hope to see you down the trail somewhere real soon.